Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I see you made it. Since you're here now, can you do me a favor real quick? Just sit back, relax your mind, and let's get real. Imagine a space where dads could simply be. A place where dads of all ages and backgrounds talk candidly about the highs and lows of this thing called becoming and being a brother, a husband, a dad. Step into the dadsphere, where we let you into the mind of dad, the place where many unspoken thoughts, questions, and fears live rent-free forever. Yeah, you heard that right. We're actually going to let you into our innermost being. It's necessary, and it's been missing. My name is Richard Sadler, but many people call me Rich, and I am the host of the Dadsphere. On this podcast, I'll be speaking from the heart about my journey to and in fatherhood. I'll be talking with other fathers, unpacking their stories in hopes of creating a space where fathers keep it real, always. Creating a space where we lift each other up and sharpen each other in the process. Subscribe to this podcast today. Go check out the website at thedadsphere.com. Go follow on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, of course, at The Dadsphere. Tap in and stay locked in as we travel through the Dadsphere. Let's get it. What's good, y'all? Thank you so much for tapping into the very first episode of the Dadsphere. I am extremely excited to be bringing this podcast to life, but in the same vein, I am extremely nervous about it. For everyone that knows me, who is actually listening, they know that I like to sit in the background and make moves from there. So stepping out on faith, stepping out of my comfort zone to do this is unlike me. I tend to do things that I know I'm probably going to do really good at or be really great at. So this is going to be a learning experience. This is going to be me being vulnerable, and that's not something I like to do. So I hope that you see yourself in this podcast. Fathers, I hope that you see yourself in me, and you realize that what I'm seeking to do here is create that space where we can simply come together and we can simply be. We need a space where we can simply be. We need a space where we can talk candidly and freely about the things that are on our minds, the things that we worry about, the things that we get excited about. I want to know it all. I want other people to know it all, because what happens with us men is a lot of times we keep things locked up. We don't keep it real in a lot of instances. We only let people see the version of ourselves that we want them to see. So I want to create transparency with this podcast. I realized that I was searching for this very same thing and I didn't see it. And for a long time, it was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But then it hit me and it was like, yo, you need to go out there and create the space. Be that space, because I guarantee that you're not the only one feeling the way that you feel. You're not the only one having some of the thoughts that you have. So step out on faith and do it. With that being said, you will hear during the course of this show that I am Christian. So I do stand on strong Christian morals and convictions. So if that bothers you, I don't want to offend anybody, but I can't change that. I believe what I believe, and I stand firm on that. So with that being said, this podcast is all about fatherhood, of course, but we welcome everybody. We welcome mothers. We welcome sisters. We welcome significant others. We welcome whatever you're calling it. No one is exempt. So feel free to join the Dadsphere with us. So a little bit about myself. So I grew up in a single parent home. If you know me, you know this. And it's a bit of a sour topic, I guess you could say, for lack of better words, or a soft topic. But I grew up single parent home. I was raised by my moms. Shout out to my mama. Love you. If you listen to this, you're the best. You're amazing. Like, I couldn't ask for a better mother. But I grew up single parent home, and my father and I, we don't have the best relationship. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this out there right now. I love my daddy. And if he ever listens to this podcast, I want him to know that I love him. There's no love lost. In fact, I hope one day that he actually appears on this show with me. Like, that would be, you talk about a reunion, I'd probably cry on that episode. So that is a hope that I have. Truth be told, I haven't spoken to my dad in years. I've actually lost count of how many years it's been, and that sucks on a day-to-day basis. I wish that we did have that relationship, and I know why it is what it is right now, and I know a good bit of that is on me as well. But also, I had to get past the fact that I had to get over being angry. You know what I'm saying? And I had to realize, like, my dad probably didn't know how to be something because he didn't necessarily see it either. So I had to decide and make up in my mind that I was going to be different. And I made my mind up a long time ago that that was going to be the case for myself. Because I grew up in a single parent home, it shaped my viewpoint or my vantage point of what fatherhood would look like. It shaped what my viewpoint, my vantage point of being a husband would actually look like. And I can't say that it was always good. So from a very young age, becoming a husband and becoming a father was something that always scared me. I knew it was something that I wanted to do. I knew it was something that I wanted to be and become, but I didn't know how I was going to do that because I didn't necessarily see that example in my home all the time. Fortunately, I do have my granddaddy, and for those of you that know my granddaddy, he's a bomb. Like, can't replace this dude. He's amazing. Love you, granddaddy. And I had, uncles that were there as well. I had a godfather that was there as well, and I had many coaches that were there as well to show me these examples. But my childhood view or my childhood lens of what fatherhood was actually going to be like and what I could expect was already being formed. And even at that young age, that was scary. So as I transitioned into actually becoming a husband first and then becoming a father, my view of what this looked like was warped. I found myself not quite equipped to take this on. Quite frankly, I found myself being able to or having to pull pieces of what I thought it meant to be a good husband, to be a good father from people like my granddaddy and people like my Uncle Marcus and people like my Uncle TJ. Those folks, I'm so thankful for them. And people like my godfather, my Uncle Bill, they know who they are. I'm so thankful for them. But I had to piece together what I thought this husband and fatherhood thing looked like. And quite frankly, it's not something that you can ever truly get 100% right. But I messed it up real bad, a lot to begin with, although I had good intentions. But I realized that along the way, I might just have to be what I didn't see. And just because I didn't see it, didn't mean that I couldn't be it. So now, because you have a young man at this point in time who grew up, without his father there and without knowing or having the slightest idea of what this even looked like, I had no idea what to do. And quite frankly, I was floundering. Like, it was wild. If I were to go and grab my wife, she would tell you the same thing. And my wife will be on this podcast at some point in the future. Like, I'm really looking forward to that. If she doesn't back out, of course, but I do plan to have her on. But back to my point, I was floundering because I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to be this. I didn't know how to be vulnerable, meaning I have to be vulnerable with my wife. I have to be vulnerable with those that I am in community with. I have to be vulnerable with my children in a lot of regards. All I ever knew was to be hard, and that the fact that I grew up in that single parent home with the absence of my father, it did harden me a lot. It caused me to shut off from the world to some degree and only allow people to see this, only certain portions of me, for lack of better words. I put up this facade almost. Like it was me, but it wasn't completely me. I was always afraid to be, completely open and honest about that. So I know I'm not the only brother that's out here struggling with that. But y'all don't hear me though. But I'm telling you, you need to pull back that layer. Don't let your childhood lens of what being a husband, what being a father looks like, warp and shape the trajectory that you're on now that you are a husband and a father. It doesn't have to be that way. Open your minds, open your hearts, be willing to change, be willing to let people in, be willing to talk about it, man. We got to be honest. We got to keep it real with each other. Can I be honest with y'all real quick? Fatherhood is not easy. In other words, being a dad ain't easy, people. Being a good dad is not for the faint of heart. We know that. But we got to be open. We have to band together. And I'm speaking to myself because even to this day, even though I'm sitting here in this closet, yes, I am in this closet on this first episode because I got some construction going on down the street and it's really loud. So I had to close off in the closet. But we got to be open. We have to be willing to let people in. We have to be willing to do the hard work and confront those things that have been holding us back. My folks in the church would call it, we got to confront those demons. You know what I'm saying? We have to put in that work if we're going to want to move forward or if we're trying to move forward. Like our communities are dependent on it. Our wives are depending on it. Our children are depending on it. Like this is important. This is important work that we have to do. Because quite frankly, we have a lot of men, including myself, we did grow up in situations like this and we didn't know how to do it, or we have this warped perception of what we thought it was. Or on the flip side, we have men who may have had their fathers in their homes, but all they saw was passivity. Let's keep it real. Passivity is almost just as bad as the father not being there in the first place. We have to stand against that. Our families are depending on that. And I feel like it is my responsibility to create this space where we could be open, where I could be vulnerable. I could put myself out there and you guys can hold me accountable and I can hold you accountable for these things. Because let's be real, us as dads, we all have things that go through our minds. We all have things that we tuck away in deep, dark places that we never discuss. It goes there and it dies, but it shapes the very being of our existence. And a lot of times it is not for the good. We have to pull that stuff out and we have to deal with it. I'm preaching to myself here too, because this in and of itself is like therapy for me too. Because like I said, a lot of times I don't want to talk. A lot of times I want to shut it off. I want to cut it off because all I know to do is be hard. All I know to do is say, everything is fine with me. Everything is fine in the world. I'm all right. Don't worry about me. I got me. But truth of the matter is, brothers, we need each other. I need you. You need me. We're all one big family. For real. So fellas, I have one question for y'all. Are you currently existing as a husband and as a father through the lens that you painted as a child? If so, are you comfortable looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I just might have to be what I didn't see? If so, let me tell you something. That's okay. I'm right there with you. And I promise that if you stay locked in and you stay tapped in, we're going to sharpen each other and we're going to become better and better each and every day. And one day when we're older, we'll all look back at this situation. We'll look back at our lives and we'll say, man, I did all right, with some help, of course. I want y'all to know that I love y'all and I mean that. So God bless, and I'll catch y'all next time in the dadsphere. I'm out. Peace.